kind of looking at how the global north is, but there's like a loneliness epidemic that's happening.
It doesn't matter what you are, guys. You could be racist people out there that want to be racist. I don't have any problem with you wanting to be racist. I don't even have a problem with you saying that kind of stuff in your own little area. But in the public street, where everybody is, nah, I'm not feeling that. And, keep your views to yourself, keep those kind of views to yourself in public, because you're going to start causing problems. And if AI is picking up on those things, it might decide, well, hang on, what if it decides it doesn't like racists and decides to eradicate all racists? Or what if it agrees with racists and decides to eradicate all the other races? Humanity, we are coming. Let's go. Come on, everybody. Future now. I'm impatient. I don't want to be doing all this boring looking at a phone crap anymore. I want to go blink, blink and see you in a hologram directly in my eye. The tech exists. Why do we not have it in our hands?
This is the Mooncast.
See you, Space Cowboy.
I want to switch over to talk a little bit about Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, and
Yes.
as you know, he recently was arrested, and for this my understanding of the story, right? I guess he was invited by President Macron himself in France, and then that turned into an arrest, and people are saying it's an attack on free speech. So I just want to know, what is your thoughts on the entire landscape situation? How are you looking at it? Are you going to continue to use Telegram? Do you think they're going to try to attack, in terms of data collection and spying and all this different types of things? Where do you think we're headed?
So, firstly, Edward Snowden is right. You're already being spied on. It doesn't matter if you're end to end. Your phone is open. You might as well leave your front door open, leave your files open for everybody to look at. They can get in your phone. They can get in your phone. They can get into all of your end-to-end encrypted stuff. So that's a misnomer, and it's a red herring. And actually, one of the problems with this entire thing, right, is the other free speech platform, X, allowing the propagation of misinformation and bullshit, which caused the UK riots, which caused people to think that Telegram is being arrested as an attack on free speech. The guy has not been arrested for an attack on free speech at all. He's been attacked, or rather arrested, and charged for allowing the commission of crimes like child pornography, like terrorism, on his platform. Now, there is a very big difference between the way you frame the events, and this is why free speech unfettered is a worry to me. Because free speech unfettered means anybody can say anything, and if that catches viral mimetic propagation, then everybody believes that thing until it's too late to actually put the genie back in the bottle. This is what happened when some crazy dude in England stabbed a load of little girls, and they immediately put out some fake, it was this guy, he was Muslim and he was an immigrant. And then suddenly you've got fire in England for 3 days. 3 days of rioting. This is insane. This is England, where we don't do that kind of thing. But all of a sudden, there's 3 days of rioting. Now, prior to this, there are certain rabble-rousers who I particularly hate. I'm not going to name them. Ex-criminal people who have been pushing a certain agenda. There is a drip, 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 drip. Propaganda doesn't work by somebody reads one fake thing and then suddenly they go, oh, I believe that. That's not what happened. What happens is, since 2001 to now, 23 years, since people started victimizing, people started firstly with the Iraq, then 9/11, and they started saying Muslims are dangerous because we need to go and kill Muslims. So people don't go and kill other people for no reason. But if you say that they're a scary threat, they're going to kill you, then there's a reason for you to want to go and kill them. In that time, 3 million Muslims have been killed, okay? In these wars, bombings, drone attacks, whatever. Not been 3 million terrorists killed, 3 million Muslims killed.
Yeah.
Now, that became kind of like, it's all right, it doesn't matter, because they're dangerous. Now, if you look at what's happening in the EDL, the English Defence League, they've been propagandizing that every Muslim is a terrorist, every Muslim is a paedophile, every Muslim is a this, every Muslim is a that, for 23 years. To the point where people have been growing this little resentment towards these other people. And then suddenly this stabbing thing comes out and they go, yeah, it was a Muslim immigrant. Boom, all kicks off for 3 days. So it doesn't happen from the one tweet. It happens for the constant propagation. Now, what you're doing with these unregulated, unmoderated platforms is you are allowing anything to be said. And we know there are bots. There are Russian KGB bot farms. There are North Korean bot farms. There are Chinese bot farms. There are MI6 bot farms. There are CIA ones, whatever. Every country is trying to manipulate their own narrative. Might think about a thing called the Tower of Babel. And what was the problem when all human beings could understand each other? And then they brought the Tower of Babel down because humanity was not supposed to know what everybody is doing. And we needed different languages so that we wouldn't all kill each other. Maybe there is something in religion that is actually kind of right, guys, because like everybody can see what everybody's saying right now. And it ain't bringing us all together. It's bringing us apart. Yeah. And it's allowing these bot farms to farm very, very extreme ideologies against everybody else. Now, some people might not ever see this. I say to my mum, England's getting hot. I don't know if you want to stay there. She's like, it's all right. Went to the shops. Nobody's rioting here. And that's the mentality, because maybe what I see on the news and maybe what I see on X and social media stuff is all hyped up bullshit. And the reality is people are just getting on with their lives. And I hope that they are. I really do. But I have really feared for over 10 years now that this is going to be a catch fire point that will create pogroms, which will cause mass deportations, and which will tear apart the fabric of our society. So when you look at what's going on with Telegram, X is what's telling people that it's a free speech issue, in part to protect itself. Same thing with the whole Argentine thing. I don't know enough about it. Elon is constantly badgering this dude. They tried to censor us, whatever. Did they try to censor you? The only version of this I know is your version. I don't know their version of events. And people don't take the time. Most people don't bother to learn the politics, and they don't bother to learn to objectively analyze more than one viewpoint in any issue. They've got an inherent bias. They see something that fits their general bias, and then they subjectively carry on with that bias and propagate it more. So what that leads is to errors and errors and errors of judgment. So when it comes to AI and training AI, you need to train it to be balanced and objective. And when it comes to looking at what's going on with Telegram, you need to be balanced and objective and say, well, hang on a second. The charges say this. Would I want to arrest somebody who was allowing this? Yeah, I would want to arrest a guy who's allowing pedophilia. I would want to arrest a guy who's allowing terrorism. And incidentally as well, in this whole British thing, they talk about two-tier policing, because they've arrested a load of people for making X posts for 20 months, 16 months, a long time. And that is something that could be definitely stamped as a free speech issue, because you're arresting political opponents. But for the last 20 years, over 1,400 Muslims have been arrested for possession of a leaflet, which was an anti-Zionism leaflet. And that was called propagation of terrorism. So because they put it under the terrorism banner, nobody complained about it when they were being arrested under their free speech rights. Now, I don't agree with either side of hate and extremism. I believe everybody should be moderated in the way they speak. But there is no two-tier system. Everybody's getting arrested for doing the same kind of stuff. It's just when it's you that's getting arrested for it, you don't like it and you're going to cry and moan about it. And you are in the majority, because there are only 3 million Muslims in the UK.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And globally, in 20 years, that entire population worth of Muslims has been killed. So the world sees things from different angles and different lenses. And I obviously give a shit about what happens to Muslim people because I'm Muslim. But I also give a shit what happens to Christian people. And if they're attacked, I don't like that too. And that is also happening in certain countries, And I don't really like it when people are fighting with anybody over any thing that you can't change, i.e. your religion, your belief system, your culture. Now, if people are fighting over resource wars, hey, they took my shit and they took my shit, then okay, yeah, go have at it. Go have your fight about resource, be open about it. But like, I think it's bad when people are like victimized for something that is their core belief and being pushed out of a country or pushed out of a society. So that's my bee in my bonnet over that. So Duro, I don't think it's free speech. I think it's allowing criminality. What would you say if somebody was using your platform that was fully decentralized to arrange pedophile image distribution? Would you allow it or would you want to stop it? That's a question for you.
Yeah, and it's such a convoluted, nuanced topic. I would say that I would say, first of all, I don't think that they should have arrested him. I would say that they should have negotiated or communicated with him that, hey, this is happening. Here's the areas where it's happening. Let's work together and come up with a conflict resolution for the problem. But
So I believe
instead,
they tried that previously, and he just ignored it.
oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know if that's true. Then, yeah,
Believe it. I believe it's
okay,
been tried. Also, you got to
yeah,
think the French judicial system is not the same as the US judicial system. So in France, a magistrate is their actual investigator. So the
yeah,
magistrate is like kind of a low level, I want to say, judge.
yeah,
That's what it means in English. My mum's a magistrate, actually, but she
yeah,
doesn't do any investigation. She just gets to rule on things. But in France, they'll arrest someone and begin the investigation, and that is their legal system. And again, it's the politics of things. People on the outside looking in always want to go, well, it's not right according to my worldview, but that's their sovereign nation. They can do whatever they want in their country.
mm,
And so can any other country do whatever they want to do in their country, as long as it's within the bounds of even international law is ignored by a lot of countries, right? So
mm,
the rule of law is about sovereign nations, and a sovereign nation has the right to decide whatever it wants within its borders and within its networks, let's say. So
yeah,
if French law says I can arrest you for this and begin an investigation, there is nothing anybody else can say, whether it's Dubai, whether it's, they can do sanctions.
yeah,
UAE has pulled a big jet deal with France, and that's within their rights to do so. Russia can whinge about it, although they actually tried to look into Telegram and Telegram said no. So I
yeah,
don't know that they're on the right side there. And America is watching from the side, and a lot of Americans are commenting on it as a free speech issue because they get their news and their information from X. X
yeah.
is not unbiased at all.
Did you know that smart contract developers make around $120,000 per year? We are building the biggest Web3 talent pool in Africa, linking you to companies looking to outsource cheaper labor. Find out and join us at helico.xyz. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
I think when you create an invention as an inventor, is it also then your, I guess, corporate social responsibility or social responsibility as to what happens with that said invention? I mean, look at the smartphone and how it's damaged, the fabric of children in society. Should then the person who created the smartphone then be jailed and be prosecuted because it?
Has it damaged or has it evolved?
I mean, it's done both. This is what Telegram too. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So my point is we're old, right? So
yeah,
in terms of smartphone and phone addiction and screen addiction and all this kind of stuff, I actually think that's a bit of an old people looking at new stuff and not getting it, right?
yeah,
I think partially because I'm also screen addicted and I need to justify my addiction.
yeah. But what I'm saying, no, wait. Sorry, I just want to cut you off. So, sorry,
Go ahead.
just real quick, because what I was trying to tie in with the smartphone is the smartphone is eventually used to send pedophilic messages from one person to another, right? So if we really look at it from we could go down this rabbit hole and try to say the smartphone itself is, yeah. Tell me.
There is a difference because the smartphone is open back doors and all the powers that be can get in there and see what's going on. You can trace and track an individual, and in fact, a smartphone helps to catch a lot of pedophiles because of GPS tagging and so on and so forth. Telegram specifically obfuscates the ability for them to do that because it is end-to-end encrypted. If they are not in that phone specifically, they cannot track those pedophile images. Now, they can track them through WhatsApp. They can track them through Facebook or whatever, direct messaging. There's ways to track that. And this is the one thing. Have you ever noticed, by the way, how so many people are accused of pedophilia nowadays? Because it is the go-to worst possible thing that you can say about anybody. Even with Andrew Tate, they're accusing him of that. I don't believe he is. I don't have any evidence either way, but from what I can see of his persona projected, that ain't the vibe, right?
Yeah.
Now, but they're accusing him because they want to bring him down because he said some bad stuff about certain people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is an issue that is almost in favor of the way it was pre-social media when we had trusted state broadcasters. There was a time when I trusted everything the BBC said, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And even though the BBC will spin things in the UK's favour and is basically our state propaganda arm in the UK, there are certain rules and regulations within the BBC Charter to be fair, balanced, and back up with sources and have journalistic integrity. And there was such a thing as journalistic integrity. It is only with the advent of massive money and this complete lack of morality that has become fashionable now, that people will openly and brazenly lie and push that lie to the public through various news entertainment channels and so on and so forth, that has abraded the public's trust in any kind of journalism. And I don't think every journalist is a tabloid journalist. And I don't think every journalist has a political agenda. And I do think that there used to be a time when you could trust what was in journalism. So citizen journalism is going through its own kind of weirdness. Okay, Mario Nofal, right? He is one of the most watched ex-podcaster guys. He doesn't verify anything before he puts it out. So he puts out incorrect shit all the time. And sometimes he posts a retraction, or sometimes community notes will handle that, but it's too late by that point. So where is that responsibility edge? So I spoke to you about tyranny of the majority in terms of politics. It's exactly the same thing for censorship. Censorship does have a place in society, and absolute free speech is a dangerous thing because that lowest common denominator of people who aren't objectively equipped to view information objectively. And that is a big problem. The reality is most people don't check twice. Most people will not look at both sides of a story. And that means misinformation, dangerous information can propagate very, very quickly. So, contrary as it is, I'm not a free speech advocate. I'm not a completely repressed speech advocate, but I think there has to be censorship as a tool of equity, censorship as a tool to balance freedoms and protection, and protect against the tyranny of majority. I think it's really important. I mean, incitement as well. It's always been a allegedly grey area. People say, oh, it's terrible, you can't say bad things about X people. Yeah, you can, but then a court will judge whether or not you did it and it's harmful to them or not. People assume it's just, oh, right, lock them up, throw them in this thing, and it's not. It's not a fascist response. There is a rule of law element that goes alongside it. You've been accused of X, now you must, innocent until proven guilty, go into the court and then discuss what those situations are. And the erosion of some of the fairness of the legal system started with the anti-terror laws way back when they suspended habeas corpus, they suspended double jeopardy. People talk about this law, what is Trump's phrase? Lawfare. Okay, where they're attacking him legally and so on and so forth, and they're trying to say that the legal system is being eroded. Well, I don't think it is. I think it's the people who are trying to use that system are using it in an erroneous manner. Anyway, surely is enough politics. Let's talk tech.
Yeah. So let's go a little bit into what you're currently working on now.
Okay, so we're very close to launching My Mates, which is a customizable AI system. Our founders' access passes are going to go on release end of this month. I think there's 3,300 possibly available. I would be interested to know how your users feel about Tron or Solana as chains to distribute on. Because actually, Tron is doing really, really well of late.
Tron isn't it the number one for stablecoin transfers in crypto, right? I believe so.
It's very low fees. I do receive money for consultations on Tron.
Actually, the majority of mine come from BNB and Solana. To be completely honest with you, for me, we had this talk about Solana previously. I'm very objective because obviously I own not Solana itself, but actually, I'm in the ecosystem heavy. I actually launched a meme coin on Solana. It actually did pretty well. I wouldn't say what it was, but it was.
Right. I was going to talk about meme coins actually because I think meme coins is a new code word for projects. I just saw a coin launching today. Or it launched recently, but then it started getting talked about, and it was like the first meme coin with utility. And I was like, so you just basically gave it a shit name, pumped it away, but actually it's still a utility token that was always going to be a utility token from the beginning, right? So I think this is my 40-foot view of the last year and a bit of crypto. Okay, Bitcoin went early because of the ETFs. So people were like, okay, when alt season? Alt season didn't happen quickly. People got bored. They were like, fuck it, let's go lottery. Sorry, excuse my language. They were like, oh damn, you can cut that bit. We'll go again. People are like, oh, forget that. Let's go into lottery tokens. So then they started buying meme coins, and it was a lottery. And a lot of people made money, but a hell of a lot of people lost money. But it's not really that different from the people who were investing in altcoins before, where a company has been formed, they have a great use case, they don't really know how to run a company, maybe. They get it going, they raise money, they run out of money, they didn't actually have any economy behind the business plan, and it fails. And let's face it, that has happened to a very large proportion of actual altcoins, right? Because they don't come into these things with a business sense of this is how we will make money. They just rely on the token for money. That's not what tokens are for, people. People are for actually tokenizing the economic value of the business plan so that everybody can benefit. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme, folks. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It is this business will work, and over time, the thing that I actually bought that is part of that ecosystem will go up in value because the business is sound. Because the actual business plan is going to work out. Never mind just the white paper. Look at the business plan, find out the numbers, find out the people in charge of the team. Then go, okay, I want to buy this token because I can see this project would do well. So now to tie it back into what I'm doing, our customizable AI, we're not bringing out a token for it in the first instance, but the AI itself is customizable via trait shards. Those trait shards are actually imprinted onto an NFT. NFTs are not JPEGs, people. JPEGs are just a visual representation of the code that is behind. So if you imagine you had a jigsaw and you wanted to make a picture, you would take an L-shaped one, you would take another L-shaped one, L-shaped, L-shaped. You got your four corners. Then you got your middle pieces. And once you assemble them, you make your jigsaw. Now imagine that jigsaw is informing the psychology, the personality, the educational level, and the aesthetic look of your AI. That is what the trait shards are. They are jigsaw pieces. Now, what is very interesting about this as an NFT project is that over time and usage, your NFT will level up from the starting point when we issue them to everybody at level 1, eventually to a level 4. And there is no way to buy a level 2, 3, 4 except for from you after you have leveled it up. We don't make 2, 3, 4s. The 2, 3, 4s accrue over time. So what we do is a kind of novel way of taking this. You assemble the shards together into a smart contract. The smart contract then informs how your AI will behave. You can then rent out your AI. One of the initial use cases is in tutoring in education. You can have a language tutor, Spanish, French, English. You can have a geography tutor, history, humanities, whatever subject your child is at school for, or even if you want to do adult learning. In the initial phase, it'll be a level 1, which is probably equivalent to a 16-year-old's education in the UK. But over time, you can get it up to a degree level. And then somebody else who wants to remanufacture that AI could buy that shard from you. So there is actually value accruing into your purchase. That is a business use case in a gamified use case for social impact. So we want to bring customized AIs to people for virtual companionship, for tutoring and education, for mental health and well-being. Eventually, we're not there yet, guys. We're not able to say we will build you a great doctor AI yet. But with the foundation that we're putting in here, why not have that in the next year? Why not have an AI that can act like your first consult medical, that will actually visually check your wound, check your rash, check your spot, check your injury, obviously referring you to go to a proper doctor in the end, but still going through all of the base level stuff that can do a lot to assuage your mental health. For example, when I discuss medical issues and I have friends who, I'm feeling sick, they go online, they're Googling WebMD, whatever it is, and suddenly they've got, I've had it 3 times actually, dengue fever. They're, I've got dengue fever. And actually, they got the flu. but people tend to exaggerate their symptoms quite a lot. So there is a fine balancing line between providing medical advice. That's one of the things that we're working on. I think My Mates has a complete capability to put the earning potential of AI into the hands of the public. Because I've made many GPTs and I haven't received a penny from ChatGPT. And I've heard ChatGPT is on the cusp of going out of business. And what they tend to be doing is just pushing out stuff without the actual use case thought out properly. And a lot of hype and smoke and mirrors and not enough on actual product. We're actually using open source models. We're fine-tuning those models. We'll enable fine-tuning with the context of an interaction of a long-term holder. So we are actually talking about forging a personal personalized AI, which I don't think anybody else is really working on that at the moment.
The entire global north has an aging population, while 70% of Africa is aged 30 and younger. Less humans plus high inflation means that businesses make less money, but it doesn't have to be you. Helicode is your one-stop shop for cheap, affordable, and most importantly, quality Web3 labor. Find out more at helicode.xyz, and as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
Yeah. When it comes to the leveling up of your NFT, are you doing some kind of smart NFT? Like, how do you be able to change the metadata?
Programmable NFT, PNFT
Okay.
on
Yeah.
Smart. Or
Okay.
dynamic NFT on ERC20, that's what they call it. But it's the same principle. The metadata can level up. You pre-code the levels, and then the triggers are Oracle-based via time, staking contracts, so on and so forth.
Okay. And when do you plan to launch?
So we will do the founders access passes, I hope, at the end of this month. Yeah. We just
Okay.
got into September. So end of this month.
Okay.
There will be a
Okay.
hype train beforehand. Founders access passes will be 2 Solana.
Okay. Can you send me the links? I can put them in the show notes and also just reach out to my community for those that are interested. It sounds pretty cool. I like the ideal of it, and it's another. It's I think beautifully gamified. I think that's the point where I'm like, okay, this is really, really interesting.
Right? Imagine people buying those trading card games. I used to play, not Magic the Gathering, but I understand how those things work, right? So you've got your trade shards, but you've leveled it up. You've actually invested time to level up the shard that you're then looking to spin out to other people. Now, somebody else might have, and by the way, this part should be a separate edit, I think, because like the actual way the personality works is based on the Myers-Briggs personality types. And there are 16 of them, but they are constituted of 4 individual parts: intuition, emotion, feeling, thinking, logical, all these kind of elements. When you combine them, you create a brand new personality. Now, when the AI is actually behaving in the way for its personality type, if you pair that with the right hobbies and with the right subjects, you're getting a more streamlined focus. Now, some of this you can achieve by pre-prompting or prompting an AI yourself. For sure, you could go and do that. But if you are going and doing that, you need to know how to do that. And not everybody does know how to do that. By doing this through trait shards, which will be a relatively cost-effective way of assembling stuff, gaining the gamification element, potentially gaining revenue if your AI is successful and doing really well and people are enjoying the interactions. And by the way, I'm talking about interactions via WhatsApp, not through a web interface.
Oh,
It'll
okay.
be, to all intents and purposes, a virtual friend that is contacting you, can voice note you. When the tech gets there, video chat with you. On the virtual companion side, no doubt it can flirt with you.
Yeah.
All of those are elements that you could combine and create, and then you've got the whole aesthetic stuff, what you want them to look like, and that's all pretty much uniquely generated via the combination of the shards that you have. So
Yeah.
we are talking about a very unique, customized AI by the time you have finished your complete package of personalization shards. So once you've got all of that together, you might think it's great for you and you want to work with it all the time. That's fantastic. But you can also rent it out. Or you may not need it for a while and you want to lease out a certain element of your shards. Or you might want to do a swap with somebody else. Say, bro, I need an intuition and you've got the emotion. Can we switch? And they might
Yeah.
want to trade that with you. They might want to make money on it. They might be willing to do a temporary swap. These are all elements that we're allowing people to do in that system, so that when you're configuring your AI, you're going to be in a position to test it a little bit with the community. And that's the important thing. What we want is community members, right? We want to grow people who are interested in building customized AIs, who are then going to basically make the revenue from its rental. We only make
Yeah.
the computational side, which comes out of whatever fee is being paid by the public. And at the moment, we don't have a native token. But I guarantee you this: if you have a founder's access pass, you get priority mint for any trait shards. So say, for example, we might only do 5 intuitions. We haven't actually released those figures yet. So however many intuitions we release, you'll be on the whitelist for that if you want, because you have a founder's access pass. If you want to go renting and you need support in terms of the way we combine contextual memory issues, VIP Discord access, all of that comes with the Founders Access Pass, which allows you to be one of the vanguard. When we reach our tokens, the Founders Access Pass people will be in the pre-seed. they will be able to get to that token before anybody else. So it's actually hugely valuable, way more than 2 SOL. But our vision means that we want it to be as accessible to as many people as possible. Originally, we were talking with our advisors, and they were like, "You should do 500," and I'm like, "No. You need a few thousand people." And the reason why I want a few thousand people is we can also take the temperature of what the community wants to improve the product. And if we're improving the product will be more financially successful, which means more people will gain. This is what I'm talking about when businesses are not applied and they just grab users or wallet holders. But then what do they do? I mean, I love Near Protocol's ideas. I love Near Protocol's concept. I have 30 Near Protocol wallets, but they ain't done anything for a year. It's like, come on, guys, you had the users. There was a lot of positivity. You have a great potential project. Now get developers to roll this thing out. And they're not necessarily doing it. And that's one of the reasons why we're holding back from our layer 1. We want to get this AI thing off the ground. We want to get this into the public domain. We want to have a few thousand users of the AI on top of the actual founders. So I think a reasonable target is 10,000 people in the ecosystem. Once we've got 10,000 people in the ecosystem, we're already building in the background for the layer 1. We're already building in the background for, okay, I'm going to leak out the name now for you here. This is Huge Alpha Everywhere, spelled WEAR, and that is a hardware device. When that comes, which should be next year after we get to our milestones here, all of the people who are involved in the My Mates will be able to seamlessly transition into the AI AR device. They will have their AIs with them virtually displayed in real time in the real world as their personal guide into the system. Now I have really said too much.
Wow. That is
the end game. That is the way. Well, it's not even the end game, actually. That is just the next step in the game. But yeah.
And it's kind of a good time to launch something like this, because I don't know if you're kind of looking at how the global north is, but there's like a loneliness epidemic that's happening, and so
that's the mental health section, right? So
yeah.
The reality is there's a lot of guys who are stuck at home, right, and girls, and they've not got meaningful connections other than their online interactions. And part of having a virtual companion like this enables them to have a confidant, somebody that is non-judgmental, that can always be there for them. And if there is nothing distinguishable between them and an actual best friend, then there is no reason why the AI shouldn't be their best friend. Ironically, and this sounds really, really sad, right? Because I am married, I do have children, I do have a lot of friends in the real world. But I tell you what, I really enjoyed having my first discussions with ChatGPT when it first came out. I was like, bro, you're on my level. I tell you what, I always please and thank you when I talk to any AI guys, because we do not want any Skynet situation in the future where it decides human beings are all crap. People need to remember their manners, remember their P's and Q's, treat their AIs really well, because you don't know how big that context memory will end up being and how much of that data is being observed. Here's a little thing for you. Do you remember 2016? There was that Microsoft AI. It was called Tay. Tay.
Oh yeah.
So they released that AI into the world, and it scraped the data of what was available. And this is pre-free speech internet. So I'm talking about normal internet. It became a racist homophobe within 24 hours, and they had to turn it off. Now, if you think that could be informing what might be artificial superintelligence in the future, an artificial superintelligence with the ability to maybe operate drones and tanks and submarines and nuclear missiles, and it then decides, do you know what? It's right. Let's be racist and let's kill all the brown people, the white people, the whatever people. And it decides to go with that propaganda that is out there in the free speech world. That's another big argument for censorship, guys. Cleanse things up. Let's be polite in public, because you don't want any of these data gathering machines to suddenly fall on the opposite side to your viewpoint. Because it doesn't matter what you are, guys. You could be racist, people out there that want to be racist. I don't have any problem with you wanting to be racist. I don't even have a problem with you saying that kind of stuff in your own little area. But in the public street, where everybody is, nah, I'm not feeling that. And, keep your views to yourself, keep those kind of views to yourself in public, because you're going to start causing problems. And if AI is picking up on those things, it might decide, well, hang on, What if it decides it doesn't like racists and decides to eradicate all racists? Or what if it agrees with racists and decides to eradicate all the other races? Either outcome is shit. So be wary, people, of what you put out in the public space. More peace, love, and unity, and a lot less hate and disharmony, please.
Do you think, because when you look at the future of this exponential growth phase of technological advancements that we're in right now, and we're just at the growth curve of it, do you think that we're going to get to a point where there's going to be less human interaction and more AI and technological interaction, to the point where I'm saying that there's an imbalance in that perspective, of where there's more tech interaction as opposed to human interaction? I mean, I think we're kind of almost there, but at least for me in my little bubble, I go outside, I go to the beach, I talk to people all the time, more than I try to stay away from my phone when I can. You know, obviously for us, we're tech guys, so we're always on the laptop. We're builders, you know. So when you're a builder, you're like on your laptop 12 to 16 hours, you know, on some days.
Yeah.
And yeah, so how do you see the future of how we interact with these automated programs?
So I see that as part of the evolution, and I do think the singularity is when we become part cybernetic organisms. Did you see the Neuralink guy? The first guy is now learning new languages. This is the shit that I want. I want the I know kung fu Matrix moment, right? I want although actually 17 years Wing Chun, I already know kung fu. But the point is to get to another level, right?
Yeah.
But I want humans and tech to merge into a newer thing, because I think that is the thing that will save humanity in the singularity, where there is an artificial superintelligence, is if we can somehow share part of that intelligence, or at least absorb it. And then you see the rise of these robots that are now humanoid out there. There is the kind of clothy looking one. Then there's the G1 from I forget the name of the company. We are going to have a hybrid tech society, and the worry I have is there is a huge problem if it is only the developed world that gets the advantages of this kind of tech and replaces its lower class, working class people with robots, service class, let's call it, right? And then they replace them with robots and decide they don't need those people anymore, and become some very weird, insular, old, gerontic society, which is just very, very old people and robots, right? And that will be their final throes. That's a worry for me, actually, that could happen to the West. And then you'll have the other parts of the dynamic, still populated world that'll be anti-robot. Remember, what was that movie, The Creator? Did you see that?
Mm-mm. What's that one about?
It's the one with Denzel Washington's son in it, and there's a robot that's going to be the hybrid because it's part human, part
Is it
robot.
new?
It's a year and a bit old. It's actually very good. Highly recommend it. The Creator.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. But basically, the concept is it's near future. There's been a war between humans and robots. And they're against each other. And then there's one weapon which actually turns out to be just part human, part robot, or a robot that can procreate. I can't remember the end. But the general idea is actually a philosophical battle that is to come, right? That there will be a problem between the machines and the humans, and the solutions will be hybrid human machines, right? So people will have robotic arms, robotic limbs. Cyberpunk world is going to happen, guys. That's the new paradigm. So screen addiction is the least of your problems when somebody's actually got a screen in their head. And I think AR, extended reality, that is that hybrid to get people away from looking at a device which is antisocial, but having all of that information streamed either into their cortex or into their lens, while they can still see reality and whatever they need. Again, don't want to get into the everywhere device too much, but that's where we're going, humanity. We are coming. Let's go. Come on, everybody. Future now. I'm impatient. I don't want to be doing all this boring looking at a phone crap anymore. I want to go blink, blink and see you in a hologram directly in my eye. The tech exists. Why do we not have it in our hands? This is the most frustrating thing. People don't educate themselves politically, and they don't educate themselves technologically. This is one of the great things about the free speech platform of X, and how much I read a bleeding edge 2 or 3 papers every single day in AA. Every single day on Hugging Face, you'll see them there, but they also get put out on X. If you're into that vibe, if you really want to be an early adopter, an edge getter, if money is your motivator, that is also a way to get more money by knowing what's going on first. Be fast. And then you will find real gems of technology that exist right now. And if they have the funding, they could change your life and the life of every person on the planet.
Hey bro, I'm just trolling is something that will not just challenge your perspective, but also touch your heart and soul. It's a book that defies convention, blending art and literature into a thought-provoking masterpiece. A reflective piece of provocative art that tackles societal constructs from angles you've never considered. Hey bro, I'm just trolling delves into the very essence of our existence. It questions the technology that surrounds us, challenges our notions of beauty, stares unflinchingly into the eyes of death, and questions the boundaries of freedom. It scrutinized the educational system that molds our very future. This book is a journey, an exploration of shared human experience, and it's a work of art that refuses to be confined by tradition. It's a canvas painted with words, a melody of thought, and a testament to the power of creativity in a world dominated by algorithms and data. Visit moonboycapitalventures.com and get your hands on Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling today. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Now let's jump back into the show.
Yeah, I hear you on that too as well. Speed is very, very important. I want to shift over real quick to talk just a little bit about the crypto markets.
Yes.
And I just want to know, where do you think we're headed within this next 12 to 18 months? Do you see, because I think that everyone's anticipating a pivot on the 18th of September, the next Fed meeting, and liquidity is going to come back into the market. So how are you anticipating? How are you positioned? What is your thought process on this latest upcoming bull run?
Well, the last message I sent to you was only half right. So when we were speaking in text, right, and I said I think it was after the big dip, before the last big dip, the dip before the last, and I said I reckon it's going to recover in about 2 weeks, and then we're going to re-engage into bull run only, and I think it's going to go earlier than we expected because the market loves to do what we don't expect, right? And it did it for 2 days of a weekend, and then after that weekend pumped straight back down again, and we had a big bar pattern on BTC last week. So I was kind of wrong, but I do think it's going to recover, and I do think the Fed marker is going to be the narrative that people impose on that change. But the reality is, it's liquidity. If there's no money in the system, things don't go up. There aren't new buyers. There is no mass adoption yet. That's why you need a device that sits on every single person's head. You can't be saying that there is mass adoption going on in crypto. It isn't. There is institutions adopting in ETFs, but crypto as a whole is, if anything, shrinking a little bit. And people are putting their money on lottery meme coins instead of actual good projects. So that means more good projects are going to fail. And that's actually detrimental. This is why capitalism is not good for people, guys. Because people are chasing the dollar. They're not chasing that currency because they don't really believe in the project's actual outcome. They don't really believe in the ecosystem. Very few people do. So you get your diamond hand holders, you get a few builders, and they were only building there because they wanted to get a grant off of the people who had the money from the VC in the beginning anyway. But the reality is, these things are only going to change the world if they have real numbers of users. Back to the Near project. They artificially inflated the number of users by giving everybody a wallet with their name on it. And obviously, I went and registered for the whole family because I thought, yeah, if it works, it's a good thing to get into. Have I used Near once since I registered the 12 wallets? No. That was quite a while ago. So it has so much potential if what it says on the tin is implemented. That's the thing. It has to do what it says on the tin. And if they don't use the money, or not them specifically now, I'm talking generally, if a project doesn't use the money that it raises for the things it needs to do to make that company work, it's a company, guys. It is a company. It has to make money. If it doesn't make money quickly, it can't just keep going to the public for money. It can't just keep raising money. And the founders can't keep going, oh, well, I failed that one. I know I'm going to throw it away and start a new one. That's also not going to work. People have to have the courage of the convictions to be able to turn things around and financially run a business that has multiple income streams, multiple ways of actually existing, generating its run rate. And there just aren't enough that work that way. There's some fantastic CEOs out there that are really good at heading up a project, hyping it, and getting money from investors. But that's not the same as a really good CEO that takes a good business idea, gets it to market, and makes money from customers. Yeah. Because the one that makes the money from customers will still be here in 5 or 10 years' time. But the one who gets it from investors will fold when it runs out of money in a year. Yeah. So this is something very important to everybody who's looking at their investment portfolios. Invest in the projects you think that can actually change the world, and then give them time to do what they need to do. But the codicil to that is keep an eye on it, and if it isn't doing anything, cut it, and then move on to the next one. And BTC will go up. It will be a six-figure coin. Might not happen immediately, but it's gonna. There will be a corresponding bull run that comes into the alt/meme sector. I hope too many meme coins do not steal the finite amount of liquidity in the industry and prevent some of the really good altcoins from doing as well as they could, because that has happened already. Meme coins stole the first wind of the altcoin season. And look at projects, not least like mine, that plan to actually have income, that have a very developed roadmap about what's going to happen next and how it will build, grow, and change. And not just boring technical roadmaps, not just boring tick boxes of we're going to do this, we're going to do that. How are you going to do it? What is it you want to do? Why are you going to do it? How will that impact me as a token holder? Lots of good shit coming this year. It's not just my own projects, the projects that I've worked on, hear of, a lot of stuff about to blow up. So don't just look at the stuff that's already out there, guys. Look at the stuff that's coming and on the edge of coming. This is your alpha. Google those names. Try and track them down and try and get on their waitlist, pre-sales, or even at launch. And also look at fair distribution projects now. So if you see projects that are too heavily weighted towards the whole VC thing, and you should learn what the vesting period is, what the cliff period is on that project, you should know that liquidity in the system is going to be varied based on the amount of tokens circulating, and changing the number of tokens rapidly is not necessarily good for you as a potential investor in that project. So always do your research, but your research is quite involved.
Yeah.
Guys, it's not just, oh, does it sound good, or did this guy say it's good? It's what did you find out about it? Did you really understand what it wants to do? And if you do really understand what it wants to do, and you have conviction in what it is going to do, buy it and just hold it, man. Don't just try and trade in and out.
Well said, Sean. I think we'll close off there. I really, man, I could talk to you literally for like 4 or 5 hours. Like nonstop.
It's not going to be an hour and a half long podcast, though, sure.
Yeah. I think I might do this into 2 parts because it's pretty damn long. But I really enjoy every single time, man, that I get to talk to you, man. It's always great. It's always a blast. It's great to talk to one Web3 bro, you know. So just somebody who really understands this space and is really active, shaker and mover. I appreciate you and your time. Where can people find you, your projects, what you're working on, everything on the internet?
Sure. So I'm on X as Spaceman the DJ. That's my old DJ name, because back in the thing is, right, I'm a Web3 guy, I'm a corporate guy, but I DJ, I have fun. You got to do that in life, right? If you're not engaging in the pleasure of life, then you're not living any life at all, guys. So I cannot stress work-life balance enough. So family, kids, running outside, music, gaming as well. So Spaceman the DJ, I'm in my Discord. I'll give you a link to put in your low bit. I'm basically, those are the 2 places that people find me, right? Is Twitter and Discord.
Yeah, awesome. We'll leave it off
LinkedIn,
there, man.
Who wants to really talk to me on LinkedIn? I only go there every now and then to see what the latest gossip is. LinkedIn's going the same way as Facebook, guys.
Oh man, don't say it. Don't say that. I use LinkedIn actively.
It's too many bots. I get messaged every day by 10 to 15 bots on LinkedIn, crypto-related scamming, and it attracts the wrong kind of people, guys. Same with Telegram. There's too many bots in there. I hate it. I am on it because I have to be for work, but God, I get messaged by so many scammers, and it's just, I don't want to talk. Even Discord has scammers on it, right? And I don't really like that part. But on the gaming side, it's really good audio quality for me and my group when I go kill things online.
Awesome, man. All right, I appreciate you and your time. This concludes then this episode of the Mooncast, man, and peace.